Hey guys, Ollie here. So I've been using the MacBook Pro since about April now. Been using it for quite a few months. Want to give you a sort of long-term review. Tell you what I think about it. So I just want to say quickly before getting into it is that everyone's experience, everyone's use case is going to be different. So this is just my use case. Yours may not be the same. Now we'll start off with the specs. So I went with the 15-inch model with a 2.7 GHz Intel Core i7 with a 1TB SSD, 16GB of RAM, and 4GB graphics. My main requirements were definitely the graphics and the RAM, mainly because I do photo editing, video editing and design. A few months ago I actually did a video on how you can save a few $100s when you buy a MacBook Pro. I'll leave a link to that in the description. The design of the MacBook Pro is still awesome. I think it looks amazing. I love the space grey. I mean, it would be cool if they did a matte black one, but I like the space grey. Sometimes it can actually look silver. Some people have asked me, is it a silver MacBook Pro or is it a space grey MacBook Pro in pictures and stuff? So I've had to sort of reiterate it's a space grey MacBook Pro, it's not silver. But I love the design. I love how thin the MacBook Pro is. I love how solid it feels. Apple are probably the leaders when it comes to product design. So yeah, I love the design of the MacBook Pro. The model I got with the specs I got is crazy powerful. I wanted a model that did everything I needed it to do. For example, I use Sketch and Photoshop for design. I use Lightroom and Photoshop for photo editing. And I use Final Cut Pro for video editing. You know, all of these programs require a lot of power. So knowing that I got a MacBook Pro that can handle those things amazingly well, it's just great, you know. I feel as though because it's so powerful, it helps me be more productive because I can get more done and less waiting around for things to happen. For example, when I render 4K videos in Final Cut Pro, they render so fast. Apple have done such a good job of sort of intertwining Final Cut Pro with Mac OS and the processor and everything else that rendering 4K video is just a breeze. You know, I can get like a 5-minute video done, rendered in 5 minutes as well. So yeah, it's such a great machine. I love how powerful it is. Same with photo editing. You know, when I'm editing raw pictures in Lightroom, it's a breeze. I can't believe how quickly I can go through raw pictures and edit them and copy over edits and paste edits. Just do all sorts of stuff very, very quickly. So yeah, I love how powerful it is. I think it's a great machine. The spec I got is more than enough for most people. I mean, I don't think even most people require this amount of power, but if you're looking for something that's powerful, definitely get a spec with 4GB graphics and at least 16GB of RAM. I usually have my MacBook Pro sitting on a laptop stand that I bought from Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. Amazing laptop stand. Probably the best one that I could recommend for such a great price. 99% of the time, I actually have my MacBook Pro hooked up to an external display. So at home, I have a 4K Dell display, and at the office, I have a 5K LG display. It handles 4K and 5K displays amazingly well. And I think the reason it handles them so well is because of the 4GB graphics. You know, previous MacBook Pro generations, the fans used to go off all the time. I had issues running them on 4K displays mainly because they would just get so hot and be so loud. You know, they just weren't very much catered to handle 4K displays. However, this generation handles 4K and 5K displays amazingly well. The display I recommend is probably the Dell one. I did a video on it, make sure to check that out. I did also do a video on the LG one, make sure to check that out. The main reason I recommend the Dell is just because it's cheaper. You know, the LG is quite expensive, it's like triple the price. However, if money isn't an issue, then I probably would recommend the LG 5K, mainly because the color accuracy is better on that display. And obviously you get the 5K resolution, so it's very sharp, it's just a great display. Touch ID is also fantastic. Being able to log into my MacBook with just a fingerprint is just amazing. You know, I don't have to type out password for ages just to get into my MacBook Pro. I can just use my fingerprint and I'm in. You know, it's very quick and easy to do. Now, my experience with the MacBook Pro hasn't been all gravy and all happy and dandy and easy. You know, there have been issues and there are still a few things that I don't like about it. The SD card slot is something I'm still annoyed about now. I don't know why Apple removed it. I take photos, I take video. This video I'm recording right now is recorded on an SD card. Being able to plug in my SD card on the previous generations was just so easy and made it so simple to transfer my photos and my videos. But now I'm having to carry around a dongle just to transfer my photos and videos, which is just ridiculous. I'm honestly surprised that Apple weren't able to find a space for an SD card slot. There's also the issue with the USB-C ports. Now, USB-C ports are definitely the future. I want them to be the future. However, Apple themselves are not making it the future. You know, with the iPhone 10, you don't even get a USB-C cable. You get a normal USB Type A to Lightning cable. What is that all about? I'm honestly shocked that Apple still aren't providing USB-C cables with their iPhones. You still have to use a dongle to connect your iPhone to your MacBook Pro. Two things that have both come out in 2017 still require a dongle. Of course you can do things wirelessly and not everyone connects their iPhone to their MacBook. But still, Apple want USB-C to be the future, but they're not providing USB-C cables. It's just ridiculous, I think. I've also had issues with the software. For example, When my MacBook Pro is closed and is connected to an external display and I try to launch Final Cut Pro, Final Cut Pro will refuse to launch. It will crash every single time without fail. For me to launch Final Cut Pro, I have to open the MacBook, make sure it's working, make sure the screen is on, and then launch Final Cut Pro, and then it will work. I'm not sure if this is a hardware or software issue, but it's been an issue that's been around for months and Apple still haven't got around to fixing it. Sometimes when I connect the MacBook up to an external display, it refuses to respond completely. It just freezes up. The screen will go blank, both screens will go blank, the external display and the MacBook, everything will just go blank. The touch bar will go blank, but I can still hear that the MacBook Pro is on. I can still hear that the fans are whirring and that it's still on. And for me to get it working again, I have to hold down the power button to turn it off and then have to press it again, turn it back on, just to get back into my MacBook. That shouldn't be something that should be coming up. That shouldn't be an issue. I don't know if that's a software issue or a hardware issue. I'm hoping it's a software issue and Apple can fix it. However, it's an issue that I'm having right now. Another one is Touch ID. Sometimes, at random, Touch ID will just completely forget my fingerprint. It's as if it hasn't even registered my fingerprint. I have to end up putting my password in and then doing Touch ID again with my finger just for it to recognize my finger and for it to be a registered finger again. I assume that's a software issue. I'm not sure what causes it or how it happens, but obviously that's another issue. The touch bar is also, personally for me, useless. I don't use it at all, obviously because my MacBook is usually sitting on a stand. However, when I do use my MacBook on the go, I hate the touch bar. I hate how it keeps changing. I hate how I have to keep looking down. You know, I would have much preferred the normal buttons that you have across the top. I can see why other people would like it. I mean, other people love the touch bar. That makes sense. You know, if you like it, you like it. However, for me personally, I don't think the touch bar is all that. I mean, maybe when Apple bring the touch bar to, say, the Magic Keyboard, then I might start using it properly and start liking it. But however, right now, I find it pretty much useless. Thankfully, I haven't had any graphic issues. I know a lot of people have sort of shared their graphic issues on Twitter and on YouTube. Other people who've had graphic issues where their screen just glitches out and they have all sorts going on with their screen, and their MacBook Pro sort of seems to have a life of its own. Thankfully, I haven't had any of those issues, and hopefully I won't in the future. Now, would I recommend the MacBook Pro? I probably wouldn't, and mainly because of these issues that I'm having. The only reason I have a MacBook Pro is so that I can use it on the go, so that I can take it to and from the office, you know. If I didn't need a laptop that I need to take with me wherever I go, I would definitely use an iMac. I did have a 5K iMac before I had the MacBook Pro, and when I had that 5K iMac, it was a dream of a machine. It was so powerful. I loved the 5K display. It was just an amazing machine. I never had any issues with it. Sometimes I could leave it on for weeks without having to reboot it, without having any issues. It was just a great machine. So it really depends on what your situation is. You know, if you really need something that's on the go, then obviously you're going to have to go with the MacBook Pro, and you're most likely going to come across some issues when you connect it up to a display, or when you use some parts of the software. You're going to have some issues. Unfortunately, that's just something you're going to have to live with, something you're going to have to compromise with. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gives you some sort of perspective on the MacBook Pro and my experience, and whether you should choose one or not. And thanks for watching.